Okay, looks like everything is good. Both streams are up. Hello everyone, how's it going? Hey John. I think you are a new person I haven't seen before. Good to meet you, glad you're here. This is going to be a pretty interesting stream, I can feel it. Let me know if the music's too loud, I can turn it down. Big brain stream time. Yeah, so I spent a lot of time looking into this, especially today. I'm going to wait a little bit just so everyone can start rolling in. Okay, looks like so far I'm not getting any complaints about the sound, so I guess I'm pretty balanced right now. So that's good. Yeah, gonna wait for everyone to start rolling in. Maybe get like 15 minutes. So until then, I can say, just as a forewarning, I am going to be spoiling a lot of important stuff for Reverse Collapse. Like, that's just unavoidable with what I want to talk about today, or tonight, I should say. So if you're looking to get into the game and experience things for yourself, make sure you don't tune in for this stream until next time. But if you don't mind, I'm glad to have you around. Now, gameplay wise, I think Reverse Collapse slaps. It slaps really hard. To me, it's basically a better version of Fire Emblem. And that's saying a lot because Fire Emblem is one of my favorite series of all time. They did really well with Reverse Collapse's gameplay. The only thing I don't like about Reverse Collapse is that there's probably a bit too much reliance on stealth missions. I want to say like half the missions are stealth missions. So your mileage may vary there, but for me, it did get pretty sickening for a while. At some point, you just want to go in and murder things. And yeah, there are bosses with one-shot mechanics, but you can avoid those most of the time. I'm not too bothered by that. Hey Chamjilo, how's it going? I knew what you meant, so don't worry. So for me, it definitely feels like Reverse Collapse is what Ghost Frontline could have been if it wasn't held back by gacha mechanics. Hey, Dune's actually a pretty good game. I don't mind. Doom is like one of the few shooters that I actually am willing to play. It's like that and Halo. Hell, I guess Snowbrink is as well, once I really think about it. Halo, which Halo's your favorite? I'm stuck between Halo 1 and Halo Reach. Halo 1 because it's just a really solid game to play, like, just back and forth. But Halo Reach, because of the single-player story, it hits you hard. But I think Halo 1 has slightly better gameplay than Halo Reach for me. I say Reach has more going on in the gameplay, but 1 is classic. It's classic gameplay. You can't really go wrong with that. And Reverse Collapse is... Honestly, I didn't expect it to be as good as I initially thought it would be. Even with all the praise I've heard on Twitter from other people who played Reverse Collapse. Because the majority of them focus on how gripping the story was. Like, okay, yeah, story's good, okay, that's fine. But no, the gameplay is actually super solid. Halo 3 is my favorite, even with some of the story flaws. Halo 3 is actually pretty good. Honestly, all of the Bungie Halo games are super solid. Super duper solid. I played all of them pretty extensively, even Halo 3 ODST. Hey Lontran, how's it going? Got done talking on Discord? Yeah, I have not looked at Discord in a while. I was really focused on preparing for stream. Hey, Terran Ghost, how's it going? Speaking of Terran Ghost, one of the games that I would really like to be a shooter is actually a StarCraft game. It's pretty sad that the IP just doesn't get any love anymore. Have I played 2092R, by the way? No, I have not yet. Legitimately speaking, I have just been so busy trying to keep up with getting videos done and also making money on the side. So as soon as I got done with the main story, I haven't played Reverse Collapse, at least not extensively. Doing great, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I heard it's actually a fair bit harder than the original campaign. Yeah, it has 10 of its own secret documents, but I heard that it may be out of canon. Oh, it did? Alright. Looks like I may have to focus on that one, but that one is going to have to wait. I would be surprised if Reverse Collapse doesn't have a workshop available, so people can make mods. Yeah, I read the art book's confidential files, so that's good. Question: what's the name of the squad we see in the login screen of Girls Frontline 2? Which comes from the first trailer uploaded to Global. The squad with the blonde twin drill pigtails. I'm gonna need a picture of that because it's not coming to mind right now. Yeah, it's gonna be very interesting talking about. It's gonna be very interesting talking about this because I haven't done literally everything in Reverse Collapse. So it'll be good. But first, I am gonna paint a picture first, just so we can all be on the same page. And yeah, it is getting to a point where I can get started. So just a quick question. Is there anyone here who has not played Reverse Collapse? I literally don't own it. Okay. Alright, so a few people here have not played Reverse Collapse. And people are playing the game but aren't done yet. Okay. Yeah, I know it's risking. Okay. That allows me to talk about this more meticulously, just so we make sure that we're all on the same page. Yeah, I'm gonna paint a picture first. Because I worked on this and I'm gonna show it. Honestly, I'm a pretty big nerd for doing this, but it's okay. We're all nerds here. Let's see. There we go. So screen transition right now. Okay. So this is a slideshow I made like 10 hours ago, just so we can all be on the same page. This is just a slideshow to pull up my thoughts and to frame it so that everyone here can know what I'm talking about and what I'm trying to get into. Yeah, you're getting a presentation. So this is all about connecting Ghost Frontline and reverse collapse and seeing how it all works. So this is all from my point of view, and I'm pretty sure most of you guys may be able to correct me on a few places, but this is just so I can get out my thoughts in a very coherent manner. So I first want to go over what I feel actually works. It works very, very easily. So to get into that, is that reverse collapse allows you to see the actual end of the world. That's pretty set in stone. I don't think there's any contradictions anywhere in Ghost Frontline. And the end of the world happens around the 2100s, and it's done by Jeff D and Lunasia, but it's mainly Jeff D. So again, I don't see anything wrong with this. The 2100s is when Doomsday happens in Ghost Frontline. Now the next thing that I feel is not contradicted at all really is Nirvana. Reverse Collapse explains Nirvana very, very, very well. So whoever actually controls Nirvana is able to do a lot of timeline stuff. They can even go back to the very beginning. Has been this. Hey, I'm just going by what the game says. That's it. So, Nirvana is a cognitive realm that experience whenever a person is able to connect to a relic. At least that's how it says here in the definition. So, as far as we know, there's only been 3 people who have reached Nirvana. Maybe 4, if you want to count a certain someone. The first one that we knew was Lunasia. Second one was Jeff D. The third one was Lucica or Lucia, however you want to say it. And then the fourth would be Nadia. But Nadia is like a really strange case, and it's kind of hard to fully count her. So the way how Nirvana works is you initially start, and then you reach a divergent point, and that divergent point, yeah, Irma as well. And that divergent point that's where a major choice happens, and there is probably an infinite amount of choices. But you can only see the choices that you actually make. So at that point, you have to personally witness the consequences of your choices. And if you don't like your choice, you have to restart. In Jeffy's case, that means offing herself. And then once she restarts, her memories gets transferred to the next Jeffy. So the important thing to note is that Jeffy can transfer to any point in time as long as a Jeffy exists. That means she can go back to when she was a kid. That means she can go to when she's an adult. And it could be right smack dab like a minute before she did her restart. Now, the Master Jeffy, the God Jeffy, is in Nirvana, and she is the one that kind of holds all the memories. I like to see it as a game where Nirvana Jeffy is the player, and she's playing a video game, and she has multiple save files, and those save files are all the Jeffys in different timelines. Correct. That's right, Malodus. But this also means that Jeffy cannot change events she is not present in. So, for example, the reason why the end of the world happens and Jeffy cannot change the end of the world is because she is not present in the area where the end of the world actually starts. And that is when William creates Lucica. She cannot be at any area where William is because she literally ran away from him. So as Jeffy cannot change the event that is the catalyst to the end of the world, she is unable to prevent it. So it's just very important to note that even though Nirvana is very powerful, it's not omnipotent. There are limits to its power. And for the most part, this all applies to Lunasia. However, Lunasia has more complicated rules and events. First of all, Lunasia has multiple hosts. as Emperor A1, Dandelion, and the human Lunasia von Oberstein. Jeffy has one, technically two hosts, but it's really just one overall. Lunasia has three, and technically more than three, because she can also possess Nidos. The text here is kind of small, so I'll just read it out. Basically, it's saying that Lunasia transfers into a white Nido to talk to William. Yeah. Isomers, for the most part, are able to, well, not for the most part, but isomers are also what we consider imperfect hosts as well. And then the third one is that Lunasia does not need to die to restart, which is actually a pretty big deal. But effectively, all Lunasia needs to do is just eject herself from her body. She can literally just do that. Now, one of the issues that Lunasia has is that she is mentally unstable. As human Lunasia, she actually believed with all of her heart that she was Emperor A1. And this was back during the time that she was with Bill, her little brother. And it just made her seem like a total schizo. Now, the thing is that Jeffy also has this issue as well. You don't see this with the actual Jeffy, but you see it with Lige, who is also Jeffy. So my thoughts of this is that even though Lunasia has more going on for her, the rules are overall similar for both of them. Lunasia's August system may be the reason why she doesn't need to die and she can just eject herself. That's my speculation. Now, here are the issues that I have with Reverse Collapse and Ghost Frontline as a whole right now. First is that William just doesn't make sense to me. So, if you guys don't know, William is a title. And I looked this up, and I think there are 5 Williams that have appeared in Ghost Frontline as a series. It's William who did the Valkyrie Project, William Zinn, Martha, Ballard von Oberstein, and Professor William. So William from the Valkyrie Project is a lead researcher who experimented on human Lunasia. And he apparently died before World War III ended. And this is confirmed by Javier, who looked into it. And he concluded that someone stole William's identity. And next one is William Zinn. He is potentially, like 50-50, he's potentially the original William. but he has been stated to have died in 2053, which is after the William from the Valkyrie project. So, like I said, it's 50-50. Maybe the dates are just wrong. But William Zen seemed to be like a person who just kind of there and hasn't really done anything. Which is why I'm thinking like, hey, maybe this was the guy who got his identity stolen. So, the next one to that is Martha. She appears pretty late in Ghost Frontline 1. Now, I know she doesn't use the name William, but she has the role of William, as shown in the text here. That she didn't like the name William, but in a way, she had that role while Bill was still working on his stuff. So I do count Martha as a William. As far as I know, Martha taught William a lot of stuff. From what I've read, you can infer that Martha was William's teacher. Or Bill's teacher. Just so we can be more specific. Now, the main guy, Bill. Now, I'm assuming he is a protege of Martha. That's not like explicitly stated, but it is implied very well that Martha taught Bill a lot of stuff. He's also responsible for creating the Nitos. He's a mass murderer, a syscon, all that good stuff. He's assumed dead in Ghost Frontline 2, but there's a very high likelihood that he's alive. And he would be 17 years old by the time Ghost Frontline 1 ends. And then our last guy is Professor William. He's the primary antagonist of Reverse Collapse, creator of Strikes. He's a lead researcher of the Three Goddesses program, and he created Lucia, who ended the world. And he's assumed to be in his 40s by 2092, which lines up with Bill. So there's a high likelihood that these two, Professor William and Bill, are the same person. But I'm separating them just for the sake of keeping things organized. So here's some notes between Bill and Professor William. Bill would be 5 or 6 years old when he created the brain scan of Lunasia and sent it to Persica and Lycoris. Bill will also be 7 years old when he sent the Pike to Lycoris. Bill will be 10 years old when he created the Lunasia clones. And Bill would be 14 years old when he killed Lycoris. And Professor William would have been working on Strikes before Ghost Frontline 2, but 1 ended. So, I don't know about you, this is like the part where I go, does that make sense? Big brain child. Yeah. So, there are some explanations for this. One is that it is possible that he stole people's work. The other is that it's also possible that Martha assisted in his research. So, those are both definitely possible explanations. The third possible explanation is that he's just a super genius. Like, even if you want to discount, or that actually makes it up. Like, even if you want to discount him actually making the brain scan, because he never actually explicitly states that he makes a brain scan. Maybe that was Martha's doing. He still did all this other stuff. It did say that William, aka Bill, was the one who sent the Pike, and Bill was the one who made the Lunasia clones. And Bill definitely killed Lycoris. Wasn't it say by Persica to be both younger than Lycoris and smarter than him, though? Yes, Persica did say that. Persica did say that Bill was more of a genius than Lycoris was. So this is all just things where I'm like, man, that's actually kind of weird. I'm not sure if I can actually digest that. It is possible that William was just like a super genius at like 5 years old, but at the same time, he didn't actually really get. It's like, how much could he actually have done at 5 years old is the question, really. So it's not impossible, but it is strange. I will put it that way. So the next part that I have issues with is with Lunasia. So Perska assumes that Lunasia von Oberstein died in 2051. And according to Reverse Collapse, this clearly cannot happen. In the 2050s, Hannah von Oberstein, which is Lunasia's mother, forced Lunasia and Bill to join a cult. This cult was raided by the Stasi, and Hannah was killed in battle. Lunasia abandoned Bill and ran away. In the 2050s, Lunasia von Oberstein became one of the leaders of the cult movement. In 2058, Lunasia von Oberstein was presumed to have died in a bombing called the Second Purge, regulated by the Stasi. And in the 2060s, Major Kane Schwaben, which is K in Ghost Frontline 1, spotted Lunasia von Oberstein leaving a cafe with another guy, and they went in separate taxis. So there's definitely a big contradiction there. And in Ghost Frontline 1, it clearly shows in memories from Infrared 1 that Lunasia was hospitalized and died in 2051. But later on in Ghost Frontline 1, Bill states that Lunasia and Hannah were murdered. So there is a clear contradiction to the memories in 4A1 and also Persica's alibi, not alibi, but testimony, I guess you can put it. Because Bill says that, yeah, that his mother and his sister were killed, which would fall more in line to what was said in Reverse Collapse. Could it be retcons? It's possible it could be retcons, but I don't think so. I'll get to that later. Now, there is also contradictions in Operation Bakery. And these are actually pretty interesting, and this is where my foundation starts to build up, I would say. So there's a timeline in Operation Bakery where the survivors never ran into strikes. These strikes never appeared until the 2100s with the creation of Lushka, a Jeffy clone with Shrike DNA. This started the end of the world. This is also a timeline where Eleanor, Atana's sister, never died. This is also a timeline where Mindo's parents were never confirmed dead. And confusingly to me, this is the timeline where Nirvana Jeffy came from. And the timelines that we mostly see in the game is full of strikes, as well as Lige, who was not in the original timeline, and most importantly, Sugar, who is not in the original timeline. And Sugar is a major antagonist and is directly operated by William. Sugar is also the one who kills Eleanor before Operation Bakery. She got a nice personality. Yeah. So in both cases, these are extremely heavy differences in the timeline. And my question is, why is that the case? And that's it for the slides. That is where I ended up at. So now I'm opening the floor. I do have my own thoughts, but I want to see what you guys think right now. Now that I laid it out. Wood Covenant Sugar. Say personally, this entire story and how they met is bullshit. Okay, yeah, I actually don't know. The files as a whole, they're from the game where they're actually in game, and we never actually play in the original timeline, so you can't get any files from there. Multiple Marty McFlys. Be mainly in the main timeline. It kind of depends what you mean by main timeline. When does William start doing the whole cloning thing? Sometime in 2050, either like 2055, 56, or 57. 57 is when he actually unleashes the clones to attack Griffin, quote unquote attack Griffin. It's mainly to bait Persica. Do you think Helena got cloned in Mass by William? In Ghost Frontline 2, yeah. And I can't say for sure about Reverse Collapse. The doll disguised as William. It's possible. Okay, so my thought. Hold on. Is Girl 22 even the same timeline as main RC story? So that's actually where I'm actually pointing towards. Not exactly that, but I think a lot of it is timeline fuckery. Because one of the things that a lot of us have forgot, including myself, is that even in Ghost Frontline 1, Nirvana is already being used. Nirvana is already occupied, even from the very beginning of the game. And is occupied by Lunasia. So we have an M4A1 who is being M4A1, but there is a Lunasia who is already in Nirvana. She's just not doing anything. But that would also imply that Lunasia has reached Nirvana beforehand. And she has been using it. So let me pull up. Let me pull up the receipts. Can Nirvana hold more deities than Lunasia? It can hold more people than just one person, yeah. Alright, let me pull this up. Yeah, I never get to see the original Noilu, yeah. Alright, so this is when M4A1 meets Lunasia, the goddess, quote unquote. Says we are both Lunasia. Lunasia says that the choice is yours if you want to merge with me. And Lunasia says that you have to hand over everything to me, your memories, your emotions, all of your data, your soul, and your life. And she is the final missing piece. And basically the explanation is that she wants that M4A1 would be able to use Lunasia's power in order to save all the lives she wants to save. And this is an example of like this is the quote unquote main Ghost Runner 1 timeline where the commander is going to die. And that's when M4A1 would decide to help out. But the important thing here is, I want to show, is that M4A1 asks, do you not have any feelings? And Lisa says, I used to, but that was a very long time ago. So this implies that this Lunasia was active in Nirvana, but she lost her emotions. And this is backed up by Cartesian theater as well. So let me go ahead and grab that real quick. Here it is... Alright, so here. This is Laplace's demon. I don't know why they decided to make it look like this, but yeah, that's what she's called. Laplace's demon. It says, I told you, I'm all-knowing Laplace's demon. Blah, 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 blah. The only one that Laplace's demon will serve is the esteemed Lady Lunasia. And M4 says, I am not Lunasia. And Laplace's demon states, you would rather play house with these lowly beings than become an omnipotent god. However, Lady Lunasia, if you choose to remain Emperor A1, it will only end in terrible tragedy. Emperor asks, why? And Laplace says, because if you've been Emperor A1 all along, then it would be you who just watched soft-bodied dearest friend die, even though she had come to such great lengths to save you. And basically he says, like, if you're Emperor A1 and choose to continue being Emperor A1, you're always going to be in living through pain. And if you were Lunasia, then you'd be able to be a god. And then she says, does the Emperor A1 at this very moment think she is the Emperor A1 of the actual world in its entirety? Now that sounds like word salad, but this is actually very important. I told you, this is just a game. It's all an illusion. I can present it in a different way if you like. In games, all stories are pre-written. All programs have rules by which they operate. All characters are subjected to their own destiny. This is the source of Emperor A1's suffering. You are Lady Lunasia, but you've forgotten your purpose. You have simply been living a tragedy in 2064 as M4A1. You are obsessed with his tragic story and believe that the characters are real. That's where your pain stems from. Only by reassuming your identity as Lunasia will you be able to find your true sense of self as a human and find a path to true rebirth. Then you can reboot this game and rewrite everyone's destiny and ending. So I think that portion right there is the most telling part. And I believe the reason why I never brought this up before is because I didn't actually believe Laplace's demon. I thought she was just talking shit. But now that I've actually fully looked into this, and thanks to Reverse Collapse, honestly, I think Laplace's demon was actually telling the truth. For this part in particular, at least. I'm going to bring up one more thing, just to show where I'm going with this. And this was shown back in Polarizing Light, or chapter 13, technically. Just give me just 1 minute. Okay, yeah, here it is. Yeah, here it is. So flashbang here. So this is in Nirvana. Back then they call this Zion, but it's actually Nirvana. Or at least peering into Nirvana. And there's like two voices called the elderly voice and cold voice. So the elderly voice and cold voice says that Emperor 1 is just a fragment of Lunasia. And same thing with Dandelion. They're both fragments of Lunasia. But they are both worthy of quote-unquote coming home, but home has been corrupted. There can be one single survivor, but nobody wants to be the one. And it says here, the source has deserted the loyal servants and entered an eternal slumber. Smashing the tombstone and waking us will only bring bitterness and resentment. The second line doesn't matter. It's really just this line, because the source, in this case, should mean Lunasia. So what this means when you put it all together is that Lunasia used to be operational in Nirvana. But she got to a point where she no longer wanted to do this. So she actually ejected her quote-unquote heart and put it into the real world so she can live as a different person. And that different person would have been Emperor A1. And that would also explain why when Emperor A1 actually jumped back into Lunasia von Oberstein back in the 2050s, everyone around her is confused because Lunasia the human kept calling herself Emperor A1. And they're like, yo, there is no Emperor A1. Why are you calling yourself a T-doll? You're a human. She just wanted to live, just happened suffering follows her. It's pretty much that, yeah. But Laplace's demon also states that she is obsessed with quote-unquote suffering. Hey Shiro, how's it going? Were T-dolls even a thing back then? Yes, they were, but they were Generation 1. Was there a Lunasia before William's medley? Yeah. Lunasia's older than William. She's older by 10 years. So putting it all together, my theory is that there are two different timelines. The first timeline is the one where the original Lunasia was doing stuff. And the second timeline is the one where Emperor A1 exists. I don't think Emperor A1 existed in the original timeline. So as for when Goddess Lunasia came to be, that is a very big question mark. Because honestly, since this is a timeline-based story, there's a lot of points where Lunasia could have activated a relic. Because that's the prerequisite to go into Nirvana. You had to activate a relic. We do know that the original Lunasia, the human, she has lived at least up to the 2060s. And she has defied death twice. The first one being in 2051, where she had an illness where she was going to turn into an Elid. But we also have to assume that she was probably semi-immune at the very least. And then the second time is when she was supposedly bombed by the Stasi. But she wasn't killed. That could have been a Nirvana thing, though. Who knows? The Emperor at one timeline is where William dies, the other is not. Likely, yeah. Yeah, likely. But this also puts in a huge question mark for Bill as well. It also kind of explains Bill, because if we assume that Bill had prior knowledge, this could also explain why he was able to do what he has done as a kid. And this could also explain the sudden strikes that appear in Reverse Collapse compared to the earlier timeline where there were no strikes. So this ancient civilization created things that can make people that transcends humanity, enter Nirvana, and gain godlike abilities. The thing is, I don't think me personally, this is just speculation. I don't think this is ancient civilization. I think this is future tech that went back that was thrown back in time. The correlation is that blue gems are the blueprint to strikes, yes. Because they have an intense healing factor and high strength and all that stuff. Yeah. So the only thing that bothers me about my explanation, is that it doesn't explain Ghost Frontline 2 much. Like, it kind of leaves Ghost Frontline 2 in limbo. But it at the very least explains the conflicting timeline stuff. If there's two timelines, it will explain why there's such a drastically different timeline in Reverse Collapse, and it'll explain why there's somehow a human Lunasia that is still alive and just hasn't been fucked with, more or less. Well, technically there'd be an infinite amount of Lunasias in an infinite amount of timelines. There be, I mean, from our Lunasia's timeline fuckery. Okay, can you explain that further then? What thing happened with the end of Gross Frontline 1? Lunasia bombs herself for the final scene, then goes back to change the timeline that we get in Gross Frontline 2. Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree with that if the ending wasn't so final. saying with like, yeah, like once you kill me with the quote unquote key, I won't be able to do anything. That's kind of what the Gross Frontline ending was basically saying. What if she lied? What if she just didn't realize that she could do she could actually do that stuff? I mean, it's possible that she just lied or downplayed herself, yeah. So much of it is already trash. Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong. The Ghost Frontline 1 finale just kind of messes a lot of stuff up. And yes, Warlock, she actually did that. She actually did that. Actually had to look up the healing episodes again to actually understand the details of that. I mean, that's why they call healing episodes, right? So there actually is another theory. This was made in the Discord. I'll just go ahead and post it on here. Oh no, don't worry about it. It's a good theory. That's why I'm posting it. more or less this theory, like it is, yeah, it's a good theory. More or less, this theory is less about there being two timelines, and more about the Lunasia kind of just letting things happen, but then she sees the end of the world and it's like, and then she goes like, nah, fuck this stuff. I'm gonna make a new timeline. That's like a heavily abridged version of what this theory is. So basically, it links up Ghost Frontline 1 to the original timeline, and the Ghost Frontline the Ghost Frontline 1 timeline in this theory would lead to the end of the world. So Lunasia sees that, says that, well, I can't let this happen. So she goes back in time to 2064 to fix everything. And that's how we get our Battle of Frankfurt ending with Lentine and all that. And that will lead it to Ghost Frontline 2. How much can Lunasia influence? So as long as she has a host, she can personally influence, not personally, but she can indirectly influence a lot of things. So Lunasia operates kind of differently. Well, I should say differently. She has more resources than Jeff D. She has host bodies, which is like Emperor A1 and Dandelion. And she has agents, like Dandelion again, and Paritha, and anyone with an Ogus, really. So through her agents, she's able to do a lot of manipulation. As long as her agents actually listen to her, which for the most part they tend to. They tend to do so. And yeah, she is actually talking to people she hasn't talked to before. So Parithia is one of those people that are new. But she has a Nogus. It is possible that Groza is also an agent, or at least an agent in disguise, or she doesn't know she's an agent yet, but Lunasia is planning on making her an agent. Yeah, if you read her Dusty Memory, it very easily shows that Paritha can speak directly to Lunasia. Current Lunasia views herself as Emperor 1? No. Current Lunasia views herself as Lunasia. She can do a lot of micro, yeah. Is there someone above Lunasia? There's like a concept of that, but I don't think it's sentient. So as far as wanting to like uh, change timelines and mess with it, I'm pretty sure Lunasia is the highest being at the moment. The problem with that the theory is what happens to Bill. That is the thing, right? So Lunacia's primary problem is that she doesn't want Bill to die. It's the Lunasia von Oberstein part of her. She loves her brother enough that she doesn't want him to die. Now, that goes with some assumptions with Ghost Frontline too, where Lunasia allowed Bill to die. But again, it seems very likely that Bill is still alive. But I think one of the confusing parts about Bill is that if we assume there are two timelines, we also have to assume that Bill is aware that there are different timelines and he has knowledge of what's going on. And if we want to maintain consistency between Ghost Frontline 1 and Reverse Collapse, Bill should be aging correctly, because he is the correct age going from Ghost Frontline 1 to Reverse Collapse. That's actually quite accurate. So there shouldn't be a point where he actually died and then he gets revived like years later, because it would throw his age off. Yeah, he has access to cloning tech, but that would also reset his age, because he can't like clone a grown body. Going by how the Lunasia clones worked, they had to start as kids. Okay, so you don't necessarily mean clone, but a body double. Yeah, he could have made one like that. I recall people elsewhere saying that Lunasia intends to collect when he'll die. Is that factual or a meme? I think that's Dandelion. Dandelion doing a meme. I don't recall Lunasia saying that she'll collect the commander's soul. Hey, what if those two Lunasia try to change the world for their goals? For the commander, and the other for William, for their love of them. Okay, so what if there's one Lunasia who is working for the commander and another Lunasia who's working for William? That is very possible. Or I say that was very possible, I should say. Because we have a Lunasia who was originally there, who was originally in Nirvana, but then she got so grief-stricken that she no longer wanted to be a player, so to speak, which is why she separated her heart and lived as M4A1. That's my theory anyways. That's my theory, I should say. I shouldn't say it as fact. But the assumption is that that Lunasia that was originally there, she was working with her brother. Big sister kid. Be beneficial for William to last longer than a normal human to continue his work. Yeah, it would be. It kind of depends on if William is like Martha, because Martha had no real desire for immortality. But we know William is kind of like really pragmatic, I guess you can say. Really pragmatic and really ambitious. I can see him trying to gun for immortality. Yeah, and through M4, she fell in love with the commander. So once M4 came back to Lunasia, Lunasia's like, yeah, I don't want to work for my brother anymore. I just want the commander. Yeah, with his extended lifespan. Yeah. Like the whole M4 is how far back we had to go. Yeah. But I don't want him to die. Yeah, it's possible that's the case as well. I mean, it would explain why he's alive, honestly, because I'm pretty sure Lunasia could rig something really easily where William just gets thrown into a ditch, or literally his mom would just beat him to death, like how the commander wants. I'm pretty sure Lunasia could have actually rigged something like that. Yeah, it was an amazing line. I love it so much. It was great. I'm not sure if this is going to show up, but I'm going to throw it in here. Because I like this meme. Where is it? Oh, it's not here. It's in the lore room, probably. Damn, you guys talk a lot in lore room. Holy shit. Can't even find my own post there. William being alive might be a red herring. Yeah, very much so. It could be. It could be an entirely different William. But that also fly in the face of reverse collapse, which I don't personally see as a problem. But I know a fair amount of people would not like that because they're trying to, because they do want to see events that have been foreshadowed by reverse collapse. But the facilitator for a lot of that stuff is actually William. Yep, that's it. Thank you, Nixon. I'm not sure if this actually is going to post correctly, but I'll post it on there anyways. And if it doesn't work, I'll fix it. Yeah, I love that meme though. Are there needles in Ghost Frontline too? Yeah. Yeah, there's needles in Ghost Frontline too. Needles are seen as the higher beings in Paradise. There's needles and now neaters and neaters. That's so weird to say. Neaters are the lower beings. Malicious for mistake was becoming for anyone. Yeah, they're budget neatos. And yeah, the strike research wasn't something that William himself started, but he did perfect it. He basically took over the research in 2064, which is basically the end of Ghost Frontline 1. What do you think William's trying to do with Helena and Ghost Frontline 2? He is trying to make a quasi-fully immune individual in order to activate relics. That is like his MO. Activate the relic. But the issue at hand is that thanks to the rewrites, Sextons is now the better option for that. So I actually don't know what they're going to do with Helena now. Turn on that NIS. Yeah, I also want to say that Helena is also a question mark as well. Because in reverse collapse, Helena Oberstein is a thing. And William does end up calling Helena his daughter. which implies that he created Helena, and Helena had time to grow into an adult. Never mind actually being able to get a degree and getting into research and then meeting Philip and then marrying him and then literally having 2 kids. The Ghost Frontline have boojums? No. The elites were pretty bare bones in Ghost Frontline 1. They weren't that big of a thing in Ghost Frontline 1. Yeah, because fuck her. That's basically it. He's like, I have Jeffy now. Helena's still around in bakery? Let me just go ahead and show that then. Where is it? I'll just probably go to chapter 5 and show that. Yep, right side is Helena. She's when she grows up, I guess, she becomes a scientist. Just like dear old dad, apparently. Lung clones are still in child phase, so they could be taken by her DNA and just produced to test them. Yeah, it's just that they make it very clear, or rather I should say William makes it very clear that Helena, adult Helena, is a creation. That's that she was created by William. So it really is like a matter of like, okay, did Helena, was she rapidly grown? Is she actually just a Nido? Because if she's a Nido, that basically means that she's like quote unquote ageless. She doesn't age. But it would also assume that as a Nido, all of her body parts are working, including her womb. Yeah, Nidos don't age. What are the chances of there being a reverse collapse 2? I say there's a higher chance of having DLC for Reverse Collapse 1 than a sequel right now. Yeah, Mendo is also a huge question mark. Like, what the fuck is going on with him? How is he able to see memories of different timelines? Because that would run the assumption that he also has access to Nirvana. Yeah, he became modified. And he was modified because he was the closest to Jeffy in terms of genetics. Have access from the new event. Access to Nirvana? No. Also born Jethy, I'm pretty sure. Yes, she did. Technically speaking, Mundo and Jethy are siblings. Technically speaking. They don't talk about that, though. This project for Lena clones could have been one of the options in attempts to access Nirvana. I'm pretty sure that is the case, yeah. Yeah. So the thing is that all William is really trying to do is get access to relics so that he can blow up the world. Because he wants to have revenge on all the people who destroyed his family. Especially Lunasia. Name a more iconic duo. Liz, never seen the age at some point. That one I didn't pick up on in my playthrough, I would say. But I would not be surprised if you said that, because I would think the same way too. That Helena just never seemed to change. The thing is, though, is that, like, it's actually not bad to assume that that's just like artist liberties, because every MILF needs to be hot. So it could have been that as well. It's pretty hard to say that Helena never aged, because you can say the same thing for Persica and Hellion. Okay, so Shikikan and the Dream State, that happened in Synthesizing's event. So that actually is a pretty big deal. Actually did forget about that. He did end up having a dream. Yeah, a dream. But I'm not sure if it was like a dream or if he was just telepathically spoken to by Helena. Yeah, I also think it's a second. That Helena just did a telepathic messaging. Now the question is how does she do that? But honestly, that's not that big of a stretch. Because the one thing Reverse Collapse also does pretty well is say that fully immune individuals also has telepathy for some reason through their virtual cognition image, which again is a double stacking of terms because now we have two definitions for the VCI. One are the ones that have actual telepathy, and the other is the one where they have a neural cloud slammed into their brain. Some funny shit to the commander. So, okay, so there is one thing. There is one thing about the commander, and it's that he's partially immune. So maybe he has like something going on. That is a theory and an argument you can make, but I still think he's just an overall normal guy. Any thoughts on Groza murdering Shiki-Kan in her dream? I think that's literally her having a nightmare. I don't think too much on it right now. It was a pretty scary scene, not gonna lie. But it does come up with the thought that maybe there is like another entity inside her that is making her have those thoughts. You know for sure that exposure to enough collaboration will change you, but doesn't kill you. Correct, it does. Although they never say if Angelia became partially immune, and she took the worst of it. We do know for a fact that the commander is partially immune. It says so straight up in Girls Frontline 1. But they never say explicitly if Angelia became partially immune as well. So as far as Groza is concerned, you think that may be the red onion virus? It's possible. I really wish we actually got more into the red onion. Because that seemed like such a big deal. But we're probably not going to learn anything about the red onion for a long time. Yeah, I want to say partial immunity is about as rare as full immunity. Commander becomes an X-Men. Yeah, it's not a mutation. I think it's one of those things where it's kind of like how a vaccine works, where the vaccine is just like a really, 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 really weak version of a virus, and it allows you to build up a immune system to that virus. Yeah, basically the commander can survive without any gear for a longer time than the normal human can, but he still will eventually turn and die if he stays out there for too long. Yeah, so for the quasi full immunity individuals, those are actually mutants because they aren't actually immune. They just mutate to survive off of collapse radiation. And if they don't actually have collapse radiation in their system, their organs shut down. So it's not even actually immunity, it's just more of like an adaptation. Yeah. To be fair, she died from a gunshot wound, so her organs didn't actually fail from not having enough radiation. Although she would have eventually died that way because no one, because Zartre didn't know about that effect, so she would have eventually had died through that. Her vitals to normal. Yeah, so Melanie is interesting. She may actually be our Helena. By that I mean like she may be the Helena that made the biggest difference. And it does seem interesting that she is able to survive without collapse radiation for a very long time compared to the Helena that we used to have. Or rather, we still have her. She just locked in her box right now. He called her meanie. That's pretty funny. So I guess the big question right now is, with my theory in place, how does it fit into Ghost Frontline 2? Just a reminder, the theory is that there's a timeline, or maybe a bunch of timelines, where there is no M4A1. And the timeline where there is an M4A1 is the one that we are following. Because even though I had that theory, it doesn't fix Ghost Frontline 1's ending. And in Ghost Frontline 2, they just refuse to say M4's name, or even Lunasia in general. The funny part with that is, like, even though M4 is gone for like over 50% of the plot, they kind of don't shut up about her at all. Now, I know there's like a 10-year time skip and all that stuff, but I would say M4 was pretty important to the commander. She wiped herself from everyone's memory. I don't think she can do that, to be honest. Like, legitimately speaking. Is Sexton's really gonna be Commander's doll? It seems like it. I mean, Sexton literally calls us her master. So I think she is going to be joining our team. Here's a question. So, what do you think is going to happen in Girls Frontline 2, given how we are not on a direct line to reverse collapse? Some events are too big. I think one of the events that's going to happen for sure is the AU is going to show up. I think that is still going to be a thing. Now, whether they actually collaborate with the Urn NC immediately, that is anyone's guess. I don't think that part is set in stone. The initiative research exists from everyone's memory, so for command down the lane. No. Will Sextons win? Probably not for a year, to be honest. Sexton's banner? Yeah, probably like a year from now. And even then, I don't think she'll be popping up before, well, she might. But I don't think she'll pop up before we see at least Team Defy. Yeah, I think if the Hollow City shows up, then you're definitely getting AU. I think that's just hand in hand. want to do a timeline and eliminate the reverse collapse events compared to Gross Frontline 2. I mean, that's pretty easy to do. Like, if you don't want any reverse collapse events in Gross Frontline 2, that's actually very easy. You just never have AU show up at all. And it'll pretty much always be like the Elmo crew versus the URNC. But I do think it'd be kind of bad if the AU never shows up. Yeah, Sorsen, you probably should have. You probably should have just watched on YouTube. It'd be so weird. Yeah, I agree. One of the original Baker Girl was a different timeline on its own just without the strikes. It's... Yeah, I think it was. What's the original timeline now? In my opinion, the original timeline is, well, I shouldn't say original, but at the very least the early timelines is the one where Emperor 1 did not exist. And I think that timeline is the one where we reach the early timelines where Jeff D kind of cruised their way out of Operation Bakery and then married Mundo and all that stuff. But when it comes to timelines, it's very hard to keep things in track. I just feel like that the very, very, very different timelines were intentionally done that way, just to show a large fracture between timelines. To the point where something drastic changed. Understatement, yeah. So it all starts with Persica? Technically, no. It starts with William, technically. Because William is the reason why Persica is even able to make Emperor 1 at all. I would assume Lunasia would have given him the idea. Because the one thing Laplace's demon makes us assume is that M4A1 actually replays that scenario intentionally thousands upon thousands of times because she is obsessed with that story and trying to get a good ending out of it. And it's not until she actually, quote unquote, rejoins Nirvana Lunasia that she's able to actually make some real changes. So more or less what I'm saying is that the only real way this works in my head is if Lunasia hasn't pulling a lot of strings. Where she went back in time and kind of pushed William to start his journey early as a kid. And then he or maybe Martha ends up making the brain scan, which allows for M4A1 to be born, and then Lunasia is like, hey, I got my new life, so I'm gonna go into that now. And then and then M4A1 ends up reliving that life over and over and over again. This is of course all assuming that Laplace's demon is not just lying the entire time, where she explicitly tells Emperor A1 that you just have been reliving that story over and over and over again. That is true. There's 19 less insane than that. Does Laplace like the type to lie? No. Honestly, no. About Ghost Frontline, any theory about the new ending the commander is talking about in the event? Any theory? That would go into what I was saying, actually. Well, not necessarily what I was saying, but the theory that was made up in my Discord, where the assumption is that the Ghost Frontline 1 ending happened and Lunasia stayed in Nirvana and just didn't do anything. But then she reached the end of the world and she wasn't happy with that, obviously. So then she went back and changed things. And that's how we get our Battle of Frankfurt ending. And it goes into Ghost Frontline 2. There's that theory. Wasn't Laplace's goal just to revive Lunasia? Actually, no. It was to revive her daughter. But eventually that goal changed. And she got on board with the reviving Lunasia thing because she wants to access Nirvana, or at least use Lunasia to access Nirvana. Because ultimately all Laplace wants to do is advance science. She has no real goal other than the pursuit of knowledge. Pain and suffering just not going to go away, yeah. Yeah, Lunasia and Laplace are not friends. I'll put it that way. They are not friendly with each other. Because they're just to move forward in science, but being called after all they know in concept. Yeah. I think that's just one of those things, one of those ironic things where hubris is the thing. Laplace's demon being all-knowing, and of course, probably the one who made Laplace's demon is actually Laplace herself. So that's just her having a bit of an ego. But guys, I got some bad news. I'm gonna have to end stream early. I didn't sleep at all today, so I kind of want to sleep in. Like, it's getting a little hard for me to keep talking while my eyes are getting heavy. So I think I am gonna end stream early. Your question though, do you think there's a timeline where Lunasia and the Commander are a couple and become a family? Probably not, to be honest. The big reason for that is because Lunasia is still trying to get that to happen. I think that's like the big thing. Like the PowerPoint. I'm glad. I'm glad that the PowerPoint helped to get my points across. But alright, I'll see you guys later. Take care. By the way, join the Discord. Just saying. It's getting pretty lively. I think the Discord is it's pretty good now. Just do that.